Hello, welcome to Blaine's Escape Corner, our little corner of the internet where we get together and talk about the things that help us escape. Ooh, boy. So 30 minutes ago, I wasn't feeling the way I'm feeling right now, but I am feeling good about today's show. I think we've got some definite things to talk about. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have a blast. Good to see you, Michael. And let's we're back to pouring sake. So I'm having a little mood today. It's a Yaegaki brewery. I quite enjoy this. It's also my wife's favorite. So she gets bonus points for appreciating a good quality Daiginjo. So okay, lots of polish on there. Good evening, kanpai, everyone. Drops are absolute, drops are true. Yes, I agree with that statement to the exception that some shows you can skip the first 3 or 4 episodes and be just fine. For example, we have re-picked up Tomodachi Game at the behest of some random Twitter comment that we really couldn't decipher, and it changed a little bit last episode, so we'll see. That one may undrop itself and then may just go to a skip episodes 1 through 4 death game group of friends. They have to fight as friends to survive, and we'll just we'll move on from there. However, I did find a funny article saying that Healer Girl, Mendokusai Healer Girl's a pain in my ass, is getting a little droll, shall we say, a little repetitive, a little, I don't know if this is really something that'll be that great, that fantastic. So we'll see. We'll see if I was right to drop that one after episode 1. I know some people find that show kind of funny, but I wonder if it might overstay its welcome, which may or may not be the title of the article that I found. So that don't give me all the credit for that one. I'll take the credit, thank you, but sometimes the credit isn't all due to me. I know we're all here because my fluency in anime is great, but you know, sometimes I've got to give credit where the credit is due. All right, let's talk about what we watched. Healer Girl. This is the first episode of Healer Girl that doesn't do a song well. And that's not to say that I don't like the song, but I do like, when do we get the Steven Universe rant? Stavern Universe rant you promised 3 weeks ago in my headcanon. They're rocks! Why are they people if they're rocks? I had the same complaint about the Miracle Gem one, the dingle dongle diamondy dancing through the, oh, look at that good CG. Oh, good CG. I was like, who cares? They're rocks. And then there's weird god things. I don't get it, nor do I care. And then you watch Steven Universe and you're like, they're just named after gems, and then we're getting weird life lessons for people who are in their like early 20s, maybe late teens. Like, what kind of weird goofy show is this? this. I learned these lessons by the time I was those ages. What are we trying to freaking teach people here? Oh, you gotta be true to yourself. Okay, yeah. Welcome to every show that we watched as children. Freaking Pikachu taught us that. Pikachu taught us that by denying rocks. By saying, screw you, stones. I'm not gonna become a Raichu. I'm gonna stay a Pikachu and be true to myself. We don't need no freaking gem people trying to be like, no, it's okay, you can be who you be. And it's like, okay, end of story. Why is there so much to this show? I freaking hate it. It doesn't make any sense. And every time someone sends me clips, they're like, oh, you should watch it. It's really good. And I like watch a couple, or I watch some clips of it. I'm like, this is all just rote retelling crap. Like, at least make it interesting, different, or good. The only thing that you can say for making it different is the identity politics of the characters. And identity politics don't necessarily make a good character. They don't make someone interesting. They don't make someone like different just because they have a different genre to them. You know, you look at something where my argument. Here we go. Seven Samurai, great show, fantastic movie. I love Samurai 7. Seven Samurai, the original Akira Kurosawa movie, tale of 7 samurai. They get hired by a village to help defend them from bandits. And someone said, oh, hey, that's a really good thing. What if we were cowboys? That show is as good, but not quite as good as 7 Samurai. The only thing that makes it, you know, bearable, watchable, is it came out at a time when you could have Yul Brynner and a pack of Mexican farmers hiring Yul Brynner and 7 guys to help defend a thing. There is nothing, though, that makes Magnificent 7 better than 7 Samurai, other than the fact that you could watch it at the time. There wasn't as much of that international going on. You'd have to get it translated. It was in your language. So you're literally telling me that just by changing the genre, like, okay, so Samurai, we got Cowboys, and instead of Japanese rice farmers, we have Mexican rice farmers. I don't know what they farm, but they farm something. It doesn't inherently make the show better or worse just by changing the identities of the people that are in the show. When that comes into play is when that is the only thing that's important or different. And so if you're taking these lessons that we've had 1,000 times from other shows and you're like, oh, but now these are important because I've changed the identity of the people that are having this show, it's like, who freaking cares? I don't care. You don't care. You're just pretending to care because you think this is important or cool, and you're like, oh, cartoons aren't just for kids. I can enjoy this. Bullshit. When was the last time somebody got cut up and lost their entrails and like you were like, whoa, this is kind of heavy? When was the last time children were dealing with death and bad things happening to them? This isn't Berserk. This isn't like a show that you're like, oh, it's for kids, but you know, it's got kind of mature themes. Freaking Ranking of Kings is like, oh yeah, well, I look like a kid's show, but I've got mature themes. Oh, even before then, we've been doing this for years. You go back to some of those old 60s anime and they look all round and funny and goofy because that's how animation was back in the 60s, but all the content was like, I don't know, this is kind of heavy. We need to like, this guy made his son and like built a robot out of his son, but it wasn't a good replacement for his son, so he's gonna just cast it aside. Like, at some level, we have to kind of come to grips with the fact that old shows like that were really kind of messed up and actually had very adult themes throughout them, even though a kid could watch it and be like, yay, Astro Boy, woo, he beat the bad guy, but they still dealt with a lot of heavy stuff. So don't tell me they're like, oh, now we've got a show that adults and kids can all enjoy, and it's got lessons for everybody, whatever walk of life you're from. No, get the frick out of here. Get out of here. Oh, this has been unbreaded anime takes with Blaine. And that's what I think of Steven Universe. I didn't know I had so many words on this. I haven't thought about Steven Universe for like probably 2 years, 2 or 3 years, to be completely fair. That was unexpected. E-Class Anime doing some Uber Eats. Get that bill. You do it. You hate Steven Universe. It's terrible. Yes, okay. But there was actually a good song at one point. I don't care. If a show has a good song, we can just watch it on YouTube, or we can watch it on a highlight clip that producer puts out, or they can post it on Twitter, they can post it on Spotify, whatever, who cares? That song would have been made with or without the show. The quality of a musical piece found in a show does not make that show good. And I think you would agree with me on that. Oh my goodness. Speaking of songs and shows, making them good or bad, I gotta say, I was a little disappointed in this episode of Healer Girl with the song. And the reason is so the song was fun. I enjoyed the song itself. It had a good beat. Like, musically, it was enjoyable. It's the kind of thing where, as we've watched this show, I've been like, yeah, this song's bopping. I like it. However, in universe, they're on stage playing music and in a band. So it's going right into like a Love Live where it's like, oh, it's a performance in the universe. So even though it's a song, it's interesting, it's just a performance in the universe. I could have used let's sing a song about the school festival, especially when Sonia is like, I like school festivals. I've never been to one. I want to do this. I want to do all the anime things. And we're like, yeah, I want to do all the anime things at the school festival too. I get you, Sonia. You my girl. You're my insert character. And a little like, here we go, a walk into the food stalls, and here we go enjoying the maid cafe. Like, what is all the stuff? Like some kind of like Spoonful of Sugar song where we're talking about how we enjoy all the different things. Would have been fun. I would have liked the insert there. I could have enjoyed that a little bit more compared to the song that we got, which was literally them just playing as a band. Song was still good, but it could have been better incorporated as a musical as opposed to just a performance. Argument against Healer Girl when you say the song doesn't make the show. The song doesn't make the show in Healer Girl. I'm just very impressed with the way that they incorporate songs into Healer Girl, and the thing about a show like Healer Girl is that whether or not they had songs, it's still kind of an interesting show. I don't know how you do it considering they're using songs to heal people, but if they just kind of like cut out all of the singing, you'd still be like, man, it's kind of a weird universe. I want to know more about it. You're kind of intrigued by how the show functions with this healing magic, because it's some sort of real thing in universe that they're trying to study and figure out more about. So the show also has that extra little bit of like intrigue. It's not just about shows specifically that sing. I just am super impressed with the way that they've been incorporating the songs historically. Episode 7 kind of dropping the ball with the song incorporation there. However, the rest of it's still a very fun festival episode. I always do love an insert character that's like, why isn't Japan like the Japan of manga and anime? When it's in an anime or a manga, it always makes me giggle a little bit because Japan is quite a bit like anime and manga. Like there's plenty of shows that are there are plenty of YouTube videos that'll say Japan isn't your manga paradise. It isn't your manga paradise. It's not going to be like that when you get here. And it's like, well, yeah, there's not like robots and shit like running around unless you go to a restaurant that serves you with robots or has robots dancing or has all kind of like I went to robot restaurants, like, and not just robot restaurants that literally had little droids that would serve you. Like that happens. That's a thing. You can go experience that. So it's more like all of the stuff that's in anime and manga in a grounded, real Japanese show will be available to you. Onsen experiences are fantastic and hilarious. I love the outdoor onsens when it's snowing. Like you're like, yeah, I just stepped into a manga panel just now. This is amazing. Show almost sounded like an argument for Steven Universe. Show has more to offer than a single song. Why are the rocks out of this universe? Yeah, but I don't care. That's the difference. I don't care that they're rocks. The fact that they're rocks isn't important or interesting or intriguing to me. The fact that the one rock is two rocks, but then two rocks is one rock, it's like, who cares? I really don't care. I am interested on a show that has surgeons and hospitals and ambulances and a robust medical and prescription system. What is song healing? Is it one of these like we found the old ways kind of thing, or is it a new thing they figured out? How did they figure it out? I want to know more about like this entire facet of humanity or whatever. They're the same show. No, they're not the same show. Get out of here with that crap. Get out of here. Don't say that. I don't like it when you say that. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. I'm gonna sort this, but I still know what my latest update is. We got it. Shin Ikkitousen dropped today. Oh boy, I did not think when I saw Ikkitousen was coming back, even as a 3-episode original animation, OAV, or whatever the new acronym is for, we're making a few things just so that we kind of like test it and don't have to waste too much time on it if it ends up sucking and nobody likes it. I did not think this would happen. I did not think we would get a new Ikkitousen, but then they said we'd get a new Ikkitousen. And then I did not think it would go right back into classic Ikkitousen. Now, for anyone who is on the younger side, this is what it was like renting manga or renting an anime in 98, 2003, probably up until about 2005. You were like, this show looks kind of interesting. I'll check it out. You grab it, you pop it in, and you start watching it, and you're like, that's an animated panty. What? And then you're like, that guy's giant. He's in high school. He's like 6'8" and like 240. He's insane. There's no way he's in high school. And then they start talking about things you've never heard of. You're like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, China used to be broken up, and then there were wars. There must have been generals. I'm sure they've got folklore. Okay, beads, got it. Beads. We're tracking beads and spirits. All right. And you just had to take what the show threw at you. Like, this person is amazing. This person just lost. This person didn't move. This person did move. This, like, you're watching people fight and you have no idea who's good, who's bad. They're saying names, they're saying equipment, they're saying moves, and you're like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. And all you care about is the fact that you're watching crazy animated fights where one person appears to be just dominant, and then all of a sudden somebody else steps up who's like, oh yeah, actually that thing you did, your sword is in pieces now, so I'm sorry, now I'm the more dominant character. And you're just left to be like, who is what is where is, and then they cut away and you're like, I'm excited by that, but I have no idea why. I don't know how they're gonna do it in just 3 episodes to really kind of wrap a lot of this up for anyone who hasn't seen it. But anybody who watches this and finds a brand new airing uncensored anime, and they're like, that's a boobie, and I'm on Crunchyroll. This is amazing. I have not come across this for years since I've had a show where I was like trying to remember what I remembered, but then also just kind of taking it in as like, sure, yeah, all right, cool. Awakening? Yeah, we got this. And that's sort of what separates like a classic anime fan or someone who's used to the medium from back in the day from someone who may be newer and trying to get into a show. Because someone who's newer trying to get into shows like, well, who's that? Well, why are they so important? Who is that? And a classic anime, it's like that you're sitting in the roller coaster and you're like, yeah, there's a crazy drop coming, but it's kind of always a crazy drop coming. And then as you're just like flying down for the photo, you've just got, tea, and you're just enjoying your tea as you go careening down this mountain of information as this first episode comes past. I love it. I love it. I have no idea if this show is going to be good, but the fact that I just felt like a kid coming across a show in the at the rental store and popping it in and just experiencing a show that I had forgotten so much about was fantastic. So I would recommend anyone who is old enough then that they check it out, that they look into it. Did I tell that robot at the restaurant its purpose was to pass butter? I tried, but it didn't know what that meant. I was like, and then Mendozai. Gomen. Booby on Crunchyroll, they just added Valkyrie Drive Mermaid today. Woo! Weren't we just looking at how Valkyrie Drive Mermaid is same studio that is doing oh my goodness, what was that in? Was that was like Spy Family, or was it Couple of Cuckoos? Hold on, that's gonna drive me nuts now. Hold on, spring 2022. What is going on, pop culture mechanic? You missed my rant on Steven Universe that we started the show with, so apparently that was a thing. What show is it? Valkyrie Drive Mermaid. Oh, it's Birdie Wing. That's what it is. Okay, so excuse me. There's this really interesting thing. So Birdie Wing takes place in Nafritz or Nafritz or whatever the heck ding dong they want to call it. But it's also referenced in Valkyrie Drive Mermaid. So it's like it's in like a weird extended universe that includes that. As well as something else. Let me see if I can find all of it. Like Birdie Wing is connected to a bunch of stuff this season, which I find interesting. But either way, they got Valkyrie Drive. I'm just telling you though, a brand new airing. This is the first time this show has been available for somebody to see, and we get the just diving into it. And it's uncensored on Crunchyroll. It's just like, pew, 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 bam, boom. You want this? Look at this. You want that? Look at that. Awakenings, unawakenings. Crazy blood. Oh, they got all cut up? I'm sorry. They're invincible. But you know what's not? Their clothes. All right, here we go. Yeah, Birdie Wing is like theoretically connected, but only in the fact that the town exists, if I remember. It's not like we're gonna see a giant like a giantess go golfing or anything like that. Let's see, is it this one? We're getting a new episode in 45 minutes. So Birdie Wing is the one show this season that is on my list that actually will tell me like, hey, there's a new episode out. We don't get that new episode until 8 o'clock Pacific time. So I've got to wait until nighttime to actually get the latest episode of Birdie Wing, sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me. So this is a whole blah on Birdie Wing, showing all this stuff. They live in the made-up country of Nafrites. This is such a weird, this is a weird article to me. It's just like, it looks like a text bubbles or whatever. Going back and forth. I've no idea. They talk about the gunpla. Here we go. So, Girls with Guns extravaganza Madlax also refers to Nefris. I live like an hour from everybody, apparently. Or, wait, no, I mean like I'm in a different time zone than most people. But you're an hour from the greater Seattle. Doxed! Get doxed, am I right? And then Valkyrie Drive Mermaid, here we go. They're former agents of the Nefris Intelligence Agency. So, in some way, there's a connection to these other two shows just from the setting. So, big booby energy on those. That's for sure. Grew up in Bremerton. That's funny. Bellingham used to be my nickname from a friend of the family who was a real jokester. You know that like old guy who's like, he doesn't have kids, but everybody's kind of his nephew and niece, friend of the family. And he's always got that stupid joke where he's just like, because my name's Blaine Everett, so he's like, oh, it's halfway between, it's Bellingham. And I was like, you stupid old man, that's longer. Like, that's not a nickname. That's not how nicknames work. And he's like, oh, cut it in half the distance. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. But he thinks he's like the funniest thing ever, and nobody's gonna ever really like challenge that because what are you gonna do? He's like, yeah, I've got my business, my home, my wife. I'm good. I don't need your come up here and whippersnap, whatever. I don't know. I feel like I'm still trying to catch my breath after that Steven Universe crap. That didn't play well, I don't think. I'm just stoked. Like, I can't believe it. I can't believe Ikkitousen is back. I can't believe Shin Ikkitousen makes me feel like I'm a kid again. It's just hilarious. It's just hilarious overall. That was an unexpected happy, that's for sure. That was an unexpected happy. Oh, that's right. Japan is gonna be opening its borders again, kind of. All right, hold on. I can't do this website. This website is cancer if I don't get rid of these ads. There we go. There we go. Some websites, they're just like, I need all the ads. You can't read anymore. You cannot do it. So Japan is planning to open back up. However, they are going to be doing it in the worst way possible, in my opinion. They are going to be using tourist groups. So they're having visitors from these areas will be able to visit later this month. You'll be part of a fixed travel group to help limit potential COVID exposure. The announcement comes as Japan continues to field requests from locals to allow tourism ahead of the summer months because a lot of Japan's income comes from tourism. So they have been just dying economically with the closed borders. As you can imagine, the tourism industry in Japan has been null since the COVID pandemic got underway in 2020. This is with this new allowance set, the tourism industry can start its recovery, and the government says this step is just the first part of a multi-step plan. If this limited allowance works out, officials state Japan could fully open its borders as early as June, which is great because I want to go later this year. I want to go back in the fall. I've been planning it. I need to. It's like the one thing that I like have to do as a human is like return to Japan every once in a while. And it's been far too long at this point. But I'm curious. It's how many people are gonna want to go and then just sit on a bus and go from tourist item to tourist item to tourist item. Like a lot of the most fun part about Japan is just wandering down streets that look like they came from Blade Runner. Like it's just such an interesting and unique place. Because like with American cities, if you go to any American city, you're like, okay, yeah, Dallas is different than LA, is different than New York, is different than Seattle. They're functionally different. However, they're all very same at the end of the day. You hear English, you can read all the signs, all this kind of stuff. And there's such a weird sense of like, I am not where I'm from. When you go to a city like Tokyo, where the layout of the city was planned hundreds of years ago, the signage is very difficult to read. A third of it essentially, and stuff that you do recognize is different. You know, your Coca-Cola signs are written with kana and stuff. So it's just such a cool experience. I need it to be back open, and I need to go get it again. In a few decades, we'll have scholars that have seen the entire Fretis Nafris universe. The rants about Mermaid will be legendary. Thinking about checking out Clannad and Beyond the Boundary. If you have seen them, do you have any thoughts? Okay, so Clannad is good. And Clannad After Story is also good. It's also kind of like people and drama heavy, so it can get very boring very quickly. So if you start Clannad and you're not hooked by episode 1, just drop it and don't worry about it. You're not going to miss out on anything that's like, oh, it changed my life. The people that it changed their life, they were also hooked on episode 1. So if you watch Clannad episode 1 and don't get hooked, go ahead and pass. Beyond the Boundary is watch a compilation clip online and you will enjoy the show a lot more than actually watching the show. It's nowhere near the excitement that some of the scenes in it would lead you to believe. But there are some people that really like it. There's some people that really get behind it. I am not one of them. I watched it and was just like, yeah, I don't need to watch this. This is not something I'm gonna spend time on. And it's for the concept for Beyond the Boundary, it's very, very droll for a lot of episodes, I would say. But that's exciting. So hopefully Japan opens up. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully enough people go that they can be like, will the ever back? Oh yeah, I also saw this freaking guy making Guts motorcycle armor. This is amazing. It's so cool. It's so cool. That's true fandom. When your fandom starts to like bleed into what you do day to day, that's when you know a show is good. That's when you know something is like been worth the escape, worth the fun, worth the excitement. When you're learning about something that like gives you more insight into something else that you want to do with your life, or if you're like, I love this so much, I just want to be this character at all times in my life. You're like, okay, I getcha. So long as you're being a character in a way that helps. So I feel like having good armor can help when you're on a bike, and that works. That works. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm correct. Because I watched episode 1 and I said, you know what? Don't Hurt Me, My Healer is the wrong name for this. This should be called My Healer is a Pain in My Ass. And immediately I was like, this show is not super great. So I dropped it. I dropped it after 1 episode. And apparently those jokes are not, they're overstaying their welcome. Outstaying specifically in this article, but overstaying would be, how normal humans speak if you're not an online anime writer. Well, the Don't Hurt Me, My Healer anime has potential. One major issue is severely hampering its comedic chops. Damn you, Christy Gibbs. How can you call out the favorite anime of the season like that? The spring 2022 anime season features a wide range of new comedy shows, including the likes of Ernest musical series Ya Boy Kong Ming, the more sitcom-like Aharen is Undecipherable, and the unorthodox yet uproarious Spy Cross Family, allowing viewers to choose from a wide variety of comedy sub-genres and styles. The meta double irony style. Are you watching this show? Do you enjoy this show? This show, maybe it's because I've had to work with people in a way where you're having to tell them what to do and then they don't necessarily do it the way you tell them to do it. This show drives me nuts. This healer's a handful. That's not a bad way to translate it. Another comedy anime that began airing in spring 2022 season is Don't Hurt Me, My Healer, a fantasy title involving the misadventures of a dark elf healer named Carla and a swordsman named Alvin. However, as some viewers have discovered, the jokes of Don't Hurt Me, My Healer have now started to wear rather thin, especially given the anime's overall pacing issues. Yeah, exactly. We all did to this what I think, what was it, E-Class did to Shikimori. He's like, yeah, okay, I watched episode 1, and then if anybody asks me a question, I can just say, yeah, I know what that show's about. The core premise of Don't Hurt Me, My Healer, while simple, has plenty of potential. Set in classic JRPG-like world, warriors from parties that are typically supported by healers embarking on quests and doing battle with nefarious monsters and other creatures from vicious animals to ghosts and witches. However, Carla is anything but a typical healer. In fact, her obnoxious personality and attitude are far from healer-like. Constantly frustrating the far more conventional, yet apparently wildly incompetent, armored swordsman Alvin. Forced to travel together after Carla accidentally curses Alvin, the pair form their own small party as they roam the land in search of challenges. Although several other comedic elements exist throughout the series, such as the running gag of Alvin's face never being revealed to the audience, or every episode having a ridiculously long name of 100+ words, this odd ducked forced proximity setup forms the basis of the show, with Carla in particular, and her seemingly inadvertent insult comic-like behavior taking center stage. I would call her an insult comic if she was funny. However, one of the biggest problems facing Don't Hurt Me, My Healer is its sense of timing. I guess. The first couple of episodes had the show's newness in its favor. So while the majority of its jokes were made up of the same foundation as previously described, Carla getting on Alvin's nerves with her never-ending, accidentally on purpose verbal and sometimes magical attacks completely at odds with her healer class type, they still worked to some degree. Did they? I don't know if they did even back then. If there's a show that you can drop and not get the gist of, then it's doing something right. Dropped Trigun 5 episodes in and can't say a lick about it. Oh, it was only because of a Hulu price increase. Probably going to pick it up since Crunchy has it now. Oh my goodness. Pause. Get back. Get back into Trigun. Holy crap. 5 episodes in and you dropped it? I hope the only reason you dropped it was that price increase, because Trigun is really, really fun. You get enough into it, like 5 episodes has to be far enough that you start to see Vash not just being a goof about guy. That's crazy. That show has an ending. It's good. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an ending. And you need to get on that show soon. If it hasn't already transferred over to Crunchy, then definitely get on that roller coaster of sentences. Fun but too busy to justify. Hulu thought Trigun was a comedy. Trigun is a comedy. I laugh. If you don't laugh at Trigun, there's something wrong with you. But just like the roller coaster of sentences, Trigun is a roller coaster of quality. I mean, jokes. It's good. It's good, and you should watch it. It does suffer a little bit from that classic, everything's drawn style. So sometimes we get really kind of goofy drawings in order to save a bit. But overall, that story is so good, so well done. And the ending is, I didn't see it coming until about halfway through. Like, there's a point at which you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where we're going. But even kind of when you know where it's going, the world and the science and everything is so interesting and so unique that you're like, okay, yeah, we can do that. I believe you. We can do that. And you just don't care because you're having a good time. You're having a good time. Unlike when you watch My Healer, Mendokusai. Conversely, as the series has continued, these jokes have begun to grow style. Stuff happened. Maybe you happened. Maybe you just couldn't laugh. And maybe that's the real comedy of the whole situation then. The audience is fully aware of the fact that Carla is basically a horrible person and even worse travel companion, just as they are aware that overconfident Alvin is uniquely terrible as a swordsman due to his sheer ineptness at the job. Each episode maintains this status quo, and moreover, it has a habit of spitting these recurring jokes out over a long period of time, leaving viewers waiting and waiting and waiting for a punchline they can already predict. Wait, did I just read over a punchline or a miss? Christy's a notoriously bad speller. Do you know her? Is Christy your Louie? Yeah, we'll not spoil. We'll wait, Mike, until you finish it. But once you finish it, you better report back because I've got words. I want to just go off on. I want to go off, King, but I cannot. These jokes have begun to grow stale. Oh, I see. I missed that one. Also, I don't like that this show is like, here's the next enemy. Here's the next enemy. Here's the next enemy. Look at all these enemies. I want to tell you who's in the next episode. Here's who's in the next episode. Here's all the people in the next episode. It's like, this isn't exciting. The whole point of a lot of these shows is like, oh, what weird monster's right around the corner? And they just tell you at the beginning, and it sort of, considering there's nothing else to it, really kills it as far as the show goes. You made a bad joke. You didn't make a bad joke. The problem is a joke requires timing. It requires timing, and between what you see and can type about is about 20 seconds behind what I'm actively doing. I am like this show. The pacing, exactly. The timing, the pacing's what you're missing. But you're only missing it because we're on a chat to stream sort of thing. I'm looking at doing some multi-stream stuff. There's a hole in my life, and it's a weird hole. But there used to be a show called Podtaku, which was back when like Class Reflection, Giguk, and some different people got together and would talk anime once a week. And so they would release an episode. Then they also had another group of people that were on J-Taku. And so I'm missing the chats with other people who are into anime. So I'm looking at putting together a sort of like a panel show that they would pop up weekly that we could do and stream. Trying to find a hole in the sort of the weekend panel shows that we can fill, and also be able to serve sort of the anime community with that, since there's a lot of pop culture already on weekends. So that's something. The only reason I thought about that is because it would be a little more quick discussion, a little more back and forth, a little more pop. Blah blah blah. Jokes aren't good if you want good comedy. Lucky Star is kind of funny. Azumanga Daioh is really good as far as comedy goes. Nozaki-kun is okay. I would still say a really good comedy would be Showtime before you even started watching the anime. Nice. School Rumble from back in the 2000s is hilarious. That's a really good comedy show. Higashi Kashi rant? Dagashi tastes like shit. It is awful. It is terrible. There is a couple Dagashi that are okay. The gummy stuff can be kind of tasty, but like I'll get into that a little bit more. But for the most part, Dagashi is disgusting, is not great. It, especially the stuff that's like trying to be food. So in Tokyo, in Akihabara, is a place called Super Potato. Super Potato is pretty famous for being a retro video game retailer, and so you can go like that's how I got my copy of the Evangelion N64 game. I've gotten some old Famicom games at Super Potato and some of those similar places. But the Super Potato that's in Akihabara, on the back side of the main street, the top floor has an arcade and a Dagashi section. So you grab a little basket, and it's still real Dagashi, where it's like 10-cent little candies, all this kind of stuff, and you can buy a bunch of stuff for like essentially $1, 100 yen. The like anal beads that are full of blue goo, that one's tasty. Those taste like a Kool-Aid, like a kid's, like you break the plastic top and you drink it. It's like kind of a Kool-Aid Jello. Those are good. Some of the gummies are kind of tasty, and if they have like an individually wrapped haichu kind of thing, those are tasty. But all of the crap where they're like, oh, this is tonkatsu, and you're like, that seems kind of like a weird thing to taste, because tonkatsu is pork that's been hammered thin and then fried, so it's crunchy on the outside and pork on the inside. And you get it and you open it up and it kind of looks like tonkatsu, but it's kind of a gummy thing. And then you take a bite out of it and it's a savory gummy. It's it's terrible. The stuff isn't crispy, so it tastes kind of like goopy. You bite into it and it kind of like pulls and you're like tear it off a little bit, and then you get this sort of wave of like, this is imitation meat flavored. And if you've ever had someone buy you at like Archie McPhee's or any of those sort of like gag stores, the like toothpicks that taste like bacon, that smell is what this stuff tastes like. So every time in Dagashi Kashi, you're like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm enjoying the show. Let's learn about something, because I love learning about things in a show. I love watching a show like Daimon this season and learning about Wagashi. They're like, oh, this is supposed to represent the moon, and it's been wrapped with this so that in this area of the country it looks more like a potato. In that area of the country it looks more like the moon. But you get to learn about the sweets. You can learn something more about them. But in this one, they're like, let's do this candy that's supposed to be like a big boy drink, and they mix it up and you're like, oh, I know what that tastes like. That tastes like a non-alcoholic beer. And what's the point? It tastes awful. It's bad. So like, if you have no idea what the show is like, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I like that idea. I like candy ramen. That's great. I remember being a kid. I like candy things that look like other things, like an easy bake oven. I can just blah blah blah. And but when you think about it, that they're using attractive anime boobies and Flat is Justice to try to sell you on some sort of fancy candy snack that I know tastes like ass, tastes like licking the bottom backside of a grease trap in a roach coach. Like, not a real, like food trucks are a real thing now. I'm talking about a roach coach where you're going in, you're getting it, you see that half of that sauce that he's slapping into your burrito is his own sweat from his hairy arms dripping down, and you know that this thing is going to be hot and spicy, and it is going to burn as it lava shoots piss out your ass. The backside of that guy's ass crack paired up with his grease trap is what half of this dagashi tastes like. It's made from just scraping it off of his lower back into a mold, throwing in some gelatin, and then making it look like it's some interesting food. Oh, we've got gummy yakitori. Would you like chicken flavored gummy? No, I don't want chicken flavored gummy. Oh, we've got gummy tonkatsu. Everybody likes pork. No, nobody likes pork flavored candy. No. No. And then they're like, hey, you know what we could do? Let's make a second one. They'll never know. But I know you're just trying to cheat people out of like a good experience about a show where they could learn about good candy that people actually enjoy instead of all the crap that they're putting in there. I hate it. I hate the messaging, but I really enjoy the character designs. And because of that, the real show you should watch instead is the, oh my gosh, magic. Teach me magic. Magical Senpai. That's the real show you should watch. See if I can find a safe set of images to allow on the screen. Okay, this should be good. This show is hilarious. This show is funny. If you like magic tricks, this will teach you how a lot of magic tricks are actually done. and you get that sort of short-haired, busty senpai teaching you everything, and the show overall is great and hilarious and fun, and then ends. So if you're interested in Dagashi Kashi, just watch Magical Senpai. It's good. I like it a lot. I like Magical Senpai. Much better. Much more better instead. I actually don't have any real comments on Valkyrie Drive Mermaid's character designs because they do the shotgun approach where it's like, you get a waifu, you get a waifu, you get a waifu, and just we're just gonna every single type. Don't gotta worry about it. It's all right. We got it all. That was actually kind of Google Safe Search even is still kind of hard to find an image that is okay to post necessarily on on YouTube. Main character has a hair glued to her head. I'm not saying they're all bad or they're all good. I'm just saying that they're like, yeah, you know, you can take your pick from aisle 12, and they just went to like the Costco of waifus, and they're just like just grabbing all of the bundle packs of waifus so that they can show them off and they can talk about them, and they can be like, yeah, look, we got them all. So here, I saw this title because, of course, I just kind of browse around sometimes looking at articles to see what are people chatting about, what are people trying to post, trying to get out there. Hayao Miyazaki's most overlooked film returns, but why is it so forgotten? Did people forget Ponyo exists? Or am I weird because I love this movie? Ponyo loves ham! It's one of the funniest little scenes that they ever had in one of these shows. This is what Bubble wishes it was. Bubble wishes it was Ponyo. But the idea, like, is this just to, like, get people like me or, like, anime fans to be like, that wasn't overlooked. I enjoyed that show. Why would someone overlook it? I'm going to have to read this. Is that what this is? Or do people really not know Ponyo? Because I feel like, honestly, I think that in today's era, today specifically, right now, if you ask someone, what is your favorite Miyazaki Ghibli movie? You are going to have fewer people say Princess Mononoke than you're going to have people say The Wind Also Rises or In Our Corner or Ponyo. I think, honestly, right now, if you were to pull the entire, like you were someone like snap your fingers and you're able to ask everyone who is interested or seen anime what their favorite Miyazaki film is, like, you're going to get a ton of people that are going to be saying Spirited Away. You're going to get a ton of people that are going, like, I think a lot of people remember Ponyo. I just do. I remember it being this big thing. It's interesting, it's bright, it's fun, but it also has like a very dark turn halfway through. It's a really, really good show, but I feel like people just don't remember Princess Mononoke, which is one of the best shows ever. Exactly, Serranos. Ham! It's amazing. Every time I make ramen, little me secret, I am a huge chef fan. I love cooking food. But every time that I make ramen, and we put ham on it, either my wife or my sister will scream, ham! Just because, of course, I put ham or something on it, and they love that scene. Everybody loves that scene. Totoro. Is Totoro. I think enough people know about Totoro, though. Even if they haven't seen it, they're at least like, yeah, I know Totoro is the big great guy that sits under the leaf with the girl at the bus stop. I know Totoro. That's not overlooked. But how much... plus you've got the dust balls from Totoro that come back in as soot balls in a soot ball. Grave of the Fireflies. I still think more people... Well, no, so Grave of the Fireflies, that was not Miyazaki. So I could argue that you could get more people talking about that just because of how impactful it is. That a lot of people that watched it were like, man, yeah, that one really moved me. But that's Imaichi, isn't it? I forget off the top of my head. Christy Gibbs wrote the fan service undermines my dress up darling message. Christy Gibbs. So she's an idiot, is what you're telling me. She doesn't understand how shows work. Hold on, let me pull up Grave of the Fireflies just to verify. Produced by Ghibli, but the director, it wasn't Miyazaki. Yeah, because if you go with all of Ghibli's works, there is so much that they do. Like, who really watched Tales from Earthsea? Nobody cares about Tales from Earthsea. Isao Takahata, though, did Grave of the Fireflies, and that show is extremely dark and depressing. It's my little sister loves it, which always makes me sad when I think about that, but she does enjoy it. She does have a good take. Original Orphan better than New Orphan. Yeah, New Stabber Orphan was like, I don't know why we need this again so soon. I feel like we could just watch the original, and it didn't feel like it added anything. Like, I think if you remake an older anime or an older show, you should do something new, do something different, do something that makes it so that I have a reason to watch the new one. So, like, Full Metal Alchemist is a classic example. You've got Full Metal Alchemist, which, was ahead of the manga and was like, what do we do? And they worked together to make a completely different show partway through. And then you have Brotherhood come along and they're like, hey, want to watch that movie or that show again? This time we're going to follow the manga. They do, but they're very, very different. You think they weren't more well known because Disney got involved with Ghibli? The question I would have is, why would Totoro still be fairly commonly understood and known if it just had to do with the Disney involvement that came with Spirited Away? Because I agree with you that the reason everybody knows Spirited Away, that is like the movie where, the Jujutsu Kaisen movie starts doing well and they're like, it has surpassed Spirited Away. That's what they have to refer to because it's such a big deal. It's like Titanic. Like, everything had to be, this is the biggest movie since Titanic. That was kind of that thing. People still kind of went back and if you go to an Asian bookstore, you're gonna find the entire catalog there, and typically, you talk to people people know about The Wind Also Rises, and you're like, who watched this movie? This was boring. I didn't like this was stupid. Not a fun one to me, but I feel like Ponyo, people loved Ponyo. I really do. They could ruin episode 1 like they did with New Orphan. Didn't do that in the 90s version. That is true. They could ruin it. They could ruin a series instead of making it any good. New shows being brought back. You're excited for Spice and Wolf. Hold on. What? How did I not see that as an announcement? Spice and Wolf, is it getting... That's a February article. Three weeks ago. Is it confirmed or not? 3 weeks ago. The Nielsen report says release date. Ooh. New trailer to announce the anime's return. Along with a message. That was back in February. That's exciting. Wait. There we go. Sort by date. Spice and Wolf is extremely interesting and exciting. If you care, which is such a no duh thing to say, but it was so hyped back when the original aired. I remember like the con communities were all like, Spice and Wolf is like one of the best shows. It makes merchant politics interesting. And I was like, that doesn't sound exciting. That doesn't sound interesting. Where's the giant robots? We could have giant robots that make political intrigue interesting, but no, we're gonna have a wolf girl in this, and then you watch it. You sit down as someone who's not too into it, and you just kind of like force yourself to enjoy it, and you're like, okay, all right, I get it. I'm in. We can watch it. But yeah, it looks like season 3 got a release date of, what does this say? ...2023. Man, everything's getting like a redo, but like a sequel redo. Like MF Ghost is gonna be so much fun. It was on the top 10 anime with nudity list back in the day, which is insane because it's really not that great to watch for that. There's much better shows back then. Even there were better shows to watch if you needed some booba in your life. Hollow is one of your all-time favori characters. What does it look like today? It would just it would be like all the other lists on YouTube. They would have a weird font going on because they don't want the algorithm to see what they're talking about, and they'd be like, the top 5 hentai with plot. Can't believe it's not hentai list. Like one of those kind of things. And then they'd find like the like whatever the worst show. They'd be like interspecies reviewer, redo of healer. I don't even know what else would be on that list. Just spitting stuff out, but I don't know. That's a real clickbait right there. All right, let's see if we can figure out why Miyazaki says, or this person says, that it's, despite being well reviewed, rarely gets the attention or the focus that Miyazaki's other movies get. But why is this film so criminally overlooked despite a worthy entry into the Ghibli catalog? And it's pronounced Ghibli, by the way, if anyone is curious. When my wife and I first went to Japan, we had tickets to the Ghibli Museum. We didn't know it was called the Ghibli Museum because we always called it Ghibli. That's always what we called it. It was Ghibli. And we get off the bus because you have to take a train to a bus, and then you get off and you're supposed, like, Japan will blow your mind. You look at a map and you're like, oh, I just go around this block. But just go around this block ends up being like 2 kilometers of walking. It's insane how you can look at a map on your phone and it just ends up being this massive trip. So we had like 3 stops left, and I was like, well, if we get off here, we can just cut across this park. But of course, it's mile that we have to go through a park I've never seen before, and it's a park with like trees. So we get off, we start walking, and we walk through like the playground, and there's like a path. I'm like, we'll just follow this path, probably where we need to go. No idea where we're going. There's trees everywhere. We can't see like the city anymore. We're just in the middle of a park in Japan, on our way, hopefully, to the Ghibli Museum. And then this little old Obasan comes out, and she's walking through as they do, and she looks at us and she's like, Ghibli Museum? I'm like, oh, hi. Like, yes. Wait. Doko. She's like, oh, and she turns and she's like, and just starts walking through the woods. And my wife and I are like, all right, we gotta follow her. We're heading to the Ghibli Museum. She just told us it's pronounced Ghibli. And we've got little old Obasan that is leading us through the forest. Granny, this is Ghibli as it gets. So we must be close. We have to be close. So we follow her through to the museum. Finally, she shows us to like where the entrance is. We get there, we see the big Totoro, we turn, and she's, off in the distance, just waves. And then we turn to like see Totoro, and I look back, and she's gone, gone. Like a kind Baba Yaga, but not an evil one, or a kindly Baba Yaga guiding you to the museum. So it is pronounced Ghibli, and I learned that from an actual spirit while I was in Japan. So I've got inside knowledge on that one. Didn't find the economics that great in Spice and Wolf though. You know what? I really like Hollow, but like the whole show is kind of stupid. I don't know. It wasn't really that great. I'm not a big fan of the economics of all that. Top 10 anime nip slips you haven't heard of. You won't last 5 minutes reading this list. Literally following a yokai exactly. So, Ponyo isn't just overlooked at Studio Ghibli Fest. The film is rarely mentioned in general. By who? Your friend? You haven't seen your friends in person in months. Sorry, that was probably a little mean. While Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro, exactly Totoro, get stage plays and pop-up stores based on them, Ponyo rarely gets noted. Or just doesn't have anything that would be good marketing other than like a pen and a thermos and ham. Like, what are you gonna market with Ponyo? A little Ponyo figure, a fish? Kids don't eat fish. Fish take money. The Spice and Wolf of Wall Street, that would be... I would love to see an anime where we have Spice and Wolf and then the Quaaludes kick in and they're just trying to figure out how to function. Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be great. We need one of those classic YouTube where they take the show and just redub everything about it, but turn it into Wolf of Wall Street. Anyway, Ponyo rarely gets noted. Even in retrospectives of Miyazaki and Ghibli, Ponyo is seldom given anything more than a passing mention, acting almost as a footnote to Miyazaki's legendary career. Even internet memes and discussions over ham is a meme. Despite other Miyazaki films being omnipresent. Name me, like, what's the meme that is spread around from Mononoke? It should be rattly jingle head baby things, but it's not. They're all about a popular studio and their top shows. Of course they are. Released in 2008, We're So Great. That was the high school graduating years. Whatchamacallit. Ponyo was written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I was 09, so fine. So don't lump me in with those people. The film follows Brunhilde, a young fish who's the son of a magical wizard, Fujimoto. However, we'll pass the spoilers just in case this little-known Ghibli passed you by. I'll let you enjoy it, that's for sure. But Sosuke loves Ponyo, and you should all know that. 2008 was a weird time for Studio Ghibli in America. While the studio was becoming more popular in America, and they were still not a household name. Thus the movie got a limited release and was overlooked at the box office due to several other blockbusters launching around the same time. Additionally, the film being newer than Spirited Away means it hasn't had as long to cement itself as a nostalgic childhood film. They said with it being 14 years, like, holy crap, how much time do you need to be a childhood film? You haven't seen a single Ghibli movie? What? How? That's almost impressive. We need to, like, package you up and just slowly expose you to Ghibli film after Ghibli film. And be like, what did you think? Interesting take. Not a single one? Hold it dough. Yeah, I've got a Twitch now, so I'll have to like connect my Twitch to Amazon Prime if I can do a watch along. That would be totally worth it. But hold on, I'm gonna test this theory. We're gonna pull up the full Studio Ghibli. So these aren't just Miyazaki. We'll do the entire, just in case. Just in case. All right. Here we go. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. You haven't seen Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. And Castle in the Sky. Both of these. Very classic. Really good shows. Always fun because we've got, you know, the teams are always kind of like bleeding around, but we've got Miyazaki and Takahata both kind of working on this one in different roles. Not seen either of those. Grave of the Fireflies. Are there any on Prime? Also, I haven't seen more than 2 anime movies, and none were Ghibli? I also put a little timer on screen since there's a lot that isn't on Amazon. Wow, this is insane. Grave of the Fireflies, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Only Yesterday, Porco Rosso, Ocean Waves. I haven't seen, so if you've seen that one, that would be hilarious. Pom Poko is hilarious, but I would not classify that with a lot of the rest of these. Whisper of the Heart, Princess Mononoke, My Neighbors the Yamadas, Spirited Away. How is Whisper of the Heart not the most like unknown Miyazaki film? Really, like that. Nobody cared about Whisper of the Heart. Nobody. Cat Returns. This is like one of my sisters. Oh, we got Spirited Away as well right here. Cat Returns, big favorite in our household. Howl's Moving Castle, Tales from Earthsea, which nobody should watch. Just skip this one. This was Goro Miyazaki's son, being like, I can do it, daddy! But he forgot a chromosome when he went to work that day, and Tales from Earthsea is what came out. Very, very breaded show, indeed. Ponyo, popping up again right here. And Ara Yeti, I'm gonna pop up Ponyo. We're gonna dig into that a little bit. From Up on Poppy Hill, not bad, but Goro again, not bringing his. We don't talk about Goro, whatever that stupid song is. Wind Rises. I can't believe how many people have seen and enjoyed Wind Rises. I cannot believe it. It blows my mind anytime someone brings it up. Tale of Princess Kaguya. Again, that's a Takahata. When Marnie was there, the Red Turtle, Earwig and the Witch, and How Do You Live? Back from retirement, even though he just won't leave, he's making another good movie. Bruno Goro, we don't talk about Goro. He literally, he's got, like, Retirement was a mistake. Yeah, you can't retire. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna retire, and he's gonna be like, you know what would be good is if I. And he's just gonna keep coming back. I'm back from retirement for this one, but I'm retiring this time. That blows my mind that you haven't seen a single one of these. That's crazy. You remember watching Ponyo and thinking, I have no idea what this movie's about. Another guy was saying something about world being out of balance, he doesn't love her, or something. Master Tolerance match, a fish person become a real person. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said it's basically a better bubble. It is essentially another retelling of a classic fairy tale, but it's just done so well. The little toy boat is one of my favorite parts of that whole series. It box office $204.8 million US. She understood the movie better than me. You're like, wait, why do you like this so much? And there's like, and you're like, what? Did we watch the same thing? Are these old? I'm sorry, Sonny. Are these old ears failing me? Hold on. Let's see. Top animation box office. See if I can find this list. Yeah, essentially, it's just like Bubble. Just like Bubble. They're doing one of those Little Mermaids again. Sister really loved Little Mermaid as a kid. Should probably get her to watch Ponyo and some other Ghibli movies. Oh, should totally. Ponyo, of course, is gonna, like, a lot of the Disney Ghibli movies have really clear-cut, were fantasy sort of fairy tales. They're very, very well done with that. But if you can get someone to enjoy and watch Princess Mononoke, you're going to get them into a classic Japanese fairy tale that still has a lot of consistent roots with sort of Western storytelling, with the hero's journey. You've got the call, you've got the descent. You're going to go through the entire series, but then it adds the Japanese twists of the supernatural that make it very, very good. So if you get someone interested in that art style that Ghibli comes to the table with, you can very easily get them to watch Mononoke, and it is a fantastic movie, and it's a good way to get someone into anime if they're not necessarily into anime specifically. Highest grossing anime films of all time. How far down do we go before we hit the 200s? Oh, it's less than 50. Wow. Holy crap. These are ongoing. These aren't just like... Can I go by box office? Is that a... Box office. Are these adjusted? Because I feel like $1.6 billion makes sense. Oh, it's a Lion King remake? Holy crap. Holy crap, these movies make a lot of money. What if I just say anime instead of animation box office? The Tanuki movie, Pompoko? You're like, you know what they need? They need to have no context and just dash them right into somebody else's crazy universe. They'll figure it out on their way. Oh my goodness. I rather enjoy Pompoko, but yeah, no, it is it is a very Japanese movie. If you wanted to show it to somebody. This is just an article. I want a list of the highest grossing Japanese films. Oh, here we go. Number 5. Yeah. What is this? It wasn't super popular. It was just the 5th highest worldwide gross on an animated film from Japan. Oh, people know Spirited Away. People know Your Name. They know Howl's Moving Castle. They don't know Ponyo. People don't know Howl's Moving Castle. Get out of here. Only anime freaks know Howl's Moving Castle. How can you write that? It's a beautiful film packed with stunning moments, stunningly realized sequences. They draw good pictures and good sequences of pictures too. But at the same time, it isn't visually distinctive as other Ghibli films. What do you mean? Audiences were becoming more familiar with anime and its visual language by '08, meaning Ponyo didn't stand out as much as other Ghibli films, making it feel less unique. It literally was like the 4th highest up until a year ago, and before that it was the 3rd highest. It was the 3rd highest Japanese film box office. Like, that's insane to think that this is like people didn't see it, they don't like it, they didn't watch it, they didn't notice it, Goodness. It's a straightforward plot. People were, anime people like convoluted plots, really. I mean, look at Fate. Everybody loves a good convoluted Fate plot, right? No, nobody does, other than Fate fans. And Fate fans are freaks, and they build bots to make it sound like there's more of them. There's not that many Fate fans in the world, I promise you. I promise you there's not that many. They're all just like, for every Fate fan, they make like 10 bots, so it seems like there's hundreds of them, but there's really only like 10. Freaking weirdos. Get out of here. Fate's not that good. Oh, that was probably the wrong fan base to try to piss off in the end of this episode. No, I would say if you're gonna avoid any specific Ghibli movie, I would probably recommend someone avoid Porco Rosso, because Porco Rosso is different. It's very, very different. It's very much so trying to be an old Humphrey Bogart in anime form, and I don't know that it really pulls it off, even though it is a very interesting show when you watch it. Are all anime articles bad, or are we somehow just finding the worst ones? Both. I definitely here. So Porco Rosso had the funniest name. No, Porco Rosso is about a pig pilot, which is a very weird concept. Yeah, no, it's there's lots of better Ghiblis. But if you enjoy anime already and you watch a couple Ghiblis and you're like, okay, I got you. Go ahead and watch Porco Rosso, but don't watch Porco Rosso thinking it's going to be what all the other ones are. No, because anime article writing sucks, and maybe that's what we'll get into for like a Throwback Thursday or something. We can like talk about the way in which anime fans talk about anime online, because people care about the news that shows are coming out and then lists, and where YouTube used to be built on the top 10 list, anime never left the top 10 list. So the primary vector of anime communication is top 10 anime that feature cars, top 8 anime that remind me of the last time I took a dookie. They're just some weird list of something that comes like up in their brain. They're like, oh, I can write a list about that, and they write a list. It gets distributed, and they make however many pennies on a click that the article generates. So people can just write. But there isn't really a good outlet for talking about real industry news. And the ones that are trying to do real industry news, it's very difficult to get industry news from Japan, because the companies in Japan are a lot more tight-lipped, a lot more closed about what they're going to release and how they're going to say certain production is going. People aren't going to step out of line in order to say, hey, this is what production was like on this movie, outside of very specific people who are able to get behind those curtains and talk to them. It's how they're actually going to be trying to button up on leaks that have been releasing, because leaks are one thing. It's like, oh, this show's coming, or this date this show's going to drop, that kind of thing. It's going to be very, very interesting. And so you get people that are anime fans on this side of the continent, or the ocean, that don't have access to the real information that would make a really kind of compelling article. Like, what we do see some interesting articles or interesting content when it comes to like Hideaki Anno. So the releases about how he was dealing with depression when he was making Evangelion originally, how he's gotten past that. Now he's like making the new Evangelion with this better outlook and everything. Like, we can get some really interesting insights. However, it's usually well after the fact, and they've sort of left the industry as a primary creator, or they're getting back into it. There's somebody that's more of a known factor that has a reason to have a good character study or go in depth on it. We have to wait till Kentaro Miura dies before we get some really interesting and deep dives into Berserk, because we have people that are interested now in, like, oh, that guy died. I've heard about that show. That show seems influential. That manga seemed like it was influencing a lot. And now you're starting to see a lot of people that are doing deep dives into like what makes it interesting and that kind of thing. But contemporary anime news about shows that are currently airing, shows that people are right now interested in, things that are popping out. Like, what do we know about the creators of Dress Up Darling? What do we know about the any show this season as far as like what's coming out? We saw some interesting stuff about the co-production from a specific animator who has some ties that they can like get in and actually talk to somebody. But really good, interesting articles like that don't really exist, because if they can get that information, if they can do that, they're going to do something like what Joey the anime guy does, or anime man, yeah. Is it man? Why am I spacing on that? It's Joey the anime man. Brandon the anime guy. That's what it is. Okay. And so you get a YouTuber who's able to get the interviews, and they're going to be posting as a video. So there's a lot more good video content when it comes to anime and animation than there is going to be article content specifically when it comes to things that are interesting or unique. That's why when we do find stuff like Full Frontal Moe interviewing the director of Healer Girl, who has history with Mobile Fighter G Gundam, you're so fascinated by like, oh, I want to hear from this guy, I want to see what he said, I want to figure it out, because you just don't get that a whole lot. Mostly just because it's fans writing articles that just want to get some clicks. Employees don't talk gossip because they're too busy working 12-hour days and not talking to Baka Gaijin. That is also true. Weird lists are funny. That is true. People writing these articles actually fans, or are they journalists just waiting to move on to the next New York Times? Both. There are some people, like, I have no doubt that Louis Kemner has the amount of writing prowess to be able to step into an actual journalism role. And his only thing holding him back is that it appears that he always is writing about anime. And so I don't know that he would get into like a mainstream medium until we get like a repeat of New Type or one of those old anime magazine type deals that gets a little more popular, because so many of the anime websites, they're paired in with comics and all this other stuff. There's very few like anime only websites, kind of like Honey's Anime or Otaku's Notes. And even then they're anime and manga, of course. Honestly, you'd say both, but journalists are a certain type of person, and they don't tend to be very based. And the based journalists don't write a lot of articles. What is the Anime Outsiders? Tends to be decently based with their articles, but their articles, because they're based, they're coming out every once in a while, because where you could have you bounding into comics is going to make an article about every single skin pigment change that comes to every modern pop culture thing that gets released. But they do sometimes get interesting scoops about how like they're going to get a little like anime is going to get tighter about the leaks. They're not going to leak as much stuff. They're going to make sure that leaks are kind of cut off. They're going to avoid that more moving forward. So they will get interesting articles about stuff like that, which we can talk about a little more maybe tomorrow. But their primary is just race baiting, I guess is the term for a lot of it, to say, oh, that person was white, now they're black, or that person was Indian and now they're Pakistani, or that kind of stuff. And so it's sort of interesting to see how that's where a lot of the Western stuff is. But because Japan doesn't really fall into that, because the anime is just being made from the manga, and the worst thing you can say about the adaptations typically is, well, they didn't really draw the scene right, or they skipped that page of the manga. And so, like, skipped that page of the manga, people try not to say what happened because they want you to go read the manga. Like, oh, you should read the manga. They want to share their thing with you. But rather than share it with you, like, here's what happened, they'll typically just say, oh, well, that scene was better in the manga. You should just read the manga. I would like more articles that actually get into, here's what made it different in the manga, or here's what was missing. I am really enjoying... it's Tortured Lolly. The heck is this guy's name? What is the YouTube channel? The Almighty Lolly. It has put together all of his Berserk videos into a massive, like, 17-hour compilation, and he goes into the manga and why the manga is interesting and the way that the manga moves forward, and then calls out specifically when, like, the show or the movie misses something and why it's important that it missed that thing, and how that thing that it missed would have saved it from being a better show. So like I said, a lot of the really good stuff that's being done is being put out on YouTube, and if they're on YouTube, go watch that instead, right? Like, I'm not gonna go watch somebody's video unless it's specifically interesting or sufficiently old enough that I could watch it without feeling like I'm taking views from somebody. Anime is definitely an acquired taste. You can't just recommend Ass Class to someone who has never watched it. They probably need to see a good number of anime before they watch anime. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily need to see a good number of anime, but they would at least need to be okay with the idea of Japanese culture. That I think you could jump into Ass Class a lot easier than you think. And the only thing they'd have to kind of get over is, like, well, why is this weird octopus monster and we're in a school? I don't get that. Maybe someone would have issues with that, but I think you'd be okay, because that like group of students thing is fairly popular now. How do you feel about them disregarding the ending to season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul when making season 3 because they made it before the manga was finished? And yes, everyone needs a gateway anime. Your gateway anime is the first anime you watch, period. I don't care who you are or what you want to say. It just happens to be the show that you watched first. Even if you don't like it, if you watch a show and you're like, that was kind of stupid, but then years later you watch another show and you're like, wow, I'm kind of into it, I would still call that first one gateway, because it has to hit you like a board and break it over your neck to get the Japanese into you. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can watch a show now. But there's always good gateway animes. Like Cowboy Bebop is a really good gateway anime. Great Pretender on Netflix is a fantastic gateway anime. People love that heist theme. It's got the Ocean's 11 style. It's got the Sting, an old movie that maybe your parents have watched or your grandparents watched, that has some of those same sort of con man ideas. Like, it's a very Western thing. Shows like that are a lot easier for people to tend to get into, just because it mirrors something they already know. One of my friends who hates anime, like doesn't watch anything, doesn't hate it, I guess I shouldn't say, but he just doesn't watch anime at all. He's the one that introduced me to Baccano, and that's a mafioso train heist movie, or series. It's really short and really fast, that starts out very anime, or a very, very train heist mafia, and then gets very anime at the end. So there's stuff like that as well that can kind of get into you. Childhood nightmares of Naruto sparked an interest with you. Pass go and collect 200. Have you had a nightmare that featured something you saw in an anime? Congratulations, you're part of the team. Definitely a true fact there. But I am starving, so I am actually gonna call it for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out with me. It's been a blast. I always love talking anime. I love escapism. I love getting to just kind of like blob about this stuff and have it available, for someone else to come along and either agree, disagree. I don't really care. We can still talk about it and have fun. I think this medium is really enjoyable, and I'm having a blast doing this every night. So very fun, always exciting. Thank you everyone for joining. Hit that like button, share it with your friends. Drink more sake. There is rice in it. That is true. That is true. I'm going to do that. I'm going to drink more. I'm going to drink the rest of this, actually. So thank you very much for hanging out. Definitely a good chat. Pop culture. We will have a wonderful evening here. Kanpai.